So I want to dive into the piece of expectations, and this is what it sounds like. This is who this is for. If you ever thought to yourself, I should be losing faster, I wasn't perfect this week, or I was perfect this week, why didn't the scale move, or I only lost a pound, it should have been a lot more. I know I've hit my protein goal, but I should be eating more vegetables too. Or even after some progress, you step on the scale and you immediately think to yourself, like, that's still not enough. Or this one gets a lot of people, it's canceling your dietitian visit appointments because you didn't do anything. And that is the weight of our own expectations. Expectations matter a lot in this work, and I'm going to give you two things that will help you turn those expectations around. Well, first identify them and then turn them around. But first, where did these expectations even come from? Well, this is a short list, but most commonly, diet culture promises are very ingrained in our head. Lose 20 pounds in 30 days, right? We see those headlines a lot. Impatience, when we want transformation without the transition. Comparison pressure. Unrealistic expectations can come from comparison pressure when you're expecting your body to respond like someone else's. Sometimes it comes from perfectionism thinking, equating effort with guaranteed outcomes, as in, like, I put in that effort and should have gotten this and I didn't get this. So there's some perfectionism thinking. And sometimes there's just a disconnection from reality, where we're not accounting for things like stress and sleep and hormones and the busyness of life. I've told my clients and patients for years that just because we have the time doesn't necessarily mean we have the capacity. Time and capacity are two very, very different things. But sometimes we often expect ourselves to just be able to put one more thing in life and let's go lose the weight too when I already have a full life. So how do we identify these unrealistic expectations? Well, you know that you're bumping up against an unrealistic expectation when you are feeling something that I call like a less than desirable emotion. What do I mean by that? It just doesn't feel good. You're frustrated, you're overwhelmed. Frustration is probably the most common emotion when it comes to unrealistic or just expectations. When I know I'm butting heads against an expectation I have, and it's usually frustration that ensues. So you can't pay attention to 50 or 70,000 thoughts that we have in our head all day long, which that's what expectations are, but you can pay attention to how you're feeling. Frustration is usually the indicator that I'm bumping up against an expectation. Now, what do we do about it? Well, number one, the number one thing I want you to take away from today when you find and bump up against an expectation is to reality check yourself. Okay, that's the take home for you today, is reality check yourself. Now I want to break this into two parts. The first one, when you reality check yourself, is I want you to double check am I trying to control an outcome or am I trying to control my actions? You can expect yourself, make an agreement with yourself, set a small step around an action you take, but you cannot place expectations on outcomes. What does that mean? Well, I expect to lose 5 pounds this month. That is an outcome. The 5 pounds on the scale is an outcome of the actions you've taken. You cannot control the outcome. But if you say, well, I agree to hit my protein goal 5 days a week, well, that you can control. That is an action that leads to the outcome. The only thing in our control are the actions, and that's the rightful place of our expectations. You're going to run into major trouble when we start placing expectations on outcomes. The outcome is the data point. Outcomes are data points to say, okay, I did X, Y, and Z, and the data point or outcome is X. So you can't place expectations on outcomes. You can place expectations on the agreements, actions, or small steps that you will take with yourself. Now, the very last point that I want to make and take home when you reality check yourself, part two, is Do I have the right information about what is realistic? Do I have the right information about what's realistic? And this is where your dietitian comes in. This is where your doctor comes in. This is very important. For example, the most common one is healthy, sustainable weight loss is 1/2 pound to 2 pounds per week. I tell my clients and patients, I don't want you losing more than 2 pounds per week because that's going to be potentially at the expense of your muscle. So if your expectation exceeds what's possible, frustration is guaranteed. Guaranteed. So you want to make sure that you have the right information about what's realistic. So let's sum this up. Mindset Matters today is all about expectations. And I've got a little list for you about what they might sound like in your head. How do you know you're bumping up against an expectation? Typically, it's frustration. You want to pay attention, tap into, and turn on more to how it is that you're feeling, because that is going to give you insight into what you're thinking. So frustrations usually are met with, expectations are usually met with frustration. Now, what do we do about it? You reality check yourself. Part one, you want to make sure that you are not trying to control the outcome, that your expectations are rightly positioned in the place of actions, agreements, small steps that you take with yourself. Reality check yourself. Part two, do I have the right information about what is realistic? Okay. So I would love to hear from you and continue this conversation down here in the comment section. What expectations are you bumping up against yourself? What expectations are you bumping up against known to you through frustration? And then reality check yourself. Is it an outcome? Is it an action? And do I have the right information about what is realistic? Okay. Happy Mindset Matters. I look forward to continuing the conversations in the comments. And as always, thank you guys for taking care of yourself. We are always here to support your journey. Have a wonderful day.